Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House, FirstNet, built with AT&T, and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts,
Podfather, Jersey Ed,
and Noontime with Skylar Noon,
as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles. I'm here with Ed, Jersey Ed. Well, I'm not here with Jersey Ed, but Jersey Ed's here.
We're in the boxes together, Mike.
I know,
Podfather, we're in the boxes together.
I like the old days.
Kind of like, like I miss the old days. Hi, everybody, Ed, Jersey Ed here. But yeah, Podfather, I do miss the old days going into the studios and hanging out with you, smoking cigars.
Yeah, that's what I miss the most, smoking cigars.
I know, right? I know the show ain't the same. I know. We it's something we do in recovery, Mike. And
that's right.
That's something that, something different that we do, something sociable that was cool that we did, as far as all that goes. But
I look forward
anyways, to it. Yeah. Real quick, I just want to tell everybody to make sure that they like and subscribe us because go through our social media, say hello, Friends in Recovery Adventures, Friends in Recovery communities on Facebook and Instagram. Please search for us on there and like us. Make sure you get involved in our communities. We have the Friends in Recovery Adventures is please kind of get involved in that too. That's all on Facebook and Instagram. It's really important that you get on there and make sure you subscribe to us because that also lets us know. That also lets you know when the next show comes out. Mike, as well as I know, these shows start at every Tuesday morning, but some people do forget that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get everybody to kind of subscribe to what we're doing.
Absolutely.
That's all I got for that. If you want to get a hold of us, 617-379-1163 or help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. That's all I got for that stuff. Go subscribe, like, call, email. And now for the big show, Mike, the big
show. Yeah. So we had talked about having triggers as a topic today. Triggers that'll make people want to use, pick up, drink, use drugs, whatever your drug of choice is, triggers. What sets you off? What makes you go from being content to be sober and living a sober substance abuse free life to all of a sudden you pick up, and I've been doing this a long time. I'm a professional therapist, licensed alcohol drug counselor. Eddie, you've been doing this a long time. You're a professional. You work for Genesis. You help a lot of people. Our whole lives is about helping people, basically. Our professions. But I really think triggers, unless you discuss them. I put it this way. I was sober for a really long time, well over 30 years. And I never really talked about triggers, I talked about getting urges, but I never thought of a trigger, something that would, trigger me to pick up. But it seems like it's a buzzword now in recovery, in the recovery circle. And
Mike, what do you think is the difference between triggers and urges?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah. I think urges come from within. Urges come from our minds, our emotions. Might be having a bad day. It's rainy out. You feel down. You feel blue. You don't have any money. You got some bills coming up. Your relationship's not going good. You might get the urge to get high. You want to get away from the mundane. You want to get away from the monotony, the sadness, and that would be an urge comes on. Hey, maybe if I get high, I'd feel a little better. Maybe if I had a couple of drinks, maybe if I smoked a joint, or maybe if I took an oxy or something, I'd feel better. But I think a trigger it would be something that happened, something that occurred. you're going through a bad relationship, and all of a sudden your significant other breaks up with you, and you know that could be a trigger. You can't handle the pain, so you figure you're going to pick up, and you're gonna get some solitude, and it's a big lie. It's all a big lie, because when you
Yes.
pick up, obviously, you're going to be starting all over again if you're lucky enough to get back. If you're lucky
Yeah.
enough to get back to AA, NA, any type
Mhm.
of recovery.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Mike, is a trigger is more of um, an internal thought that we're having, and I mean a thought. I mean a trigger is
Yes.
an external
Occurrence.
feeling.
Yeah, a feeling or an occurrence, something that
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
something you read or saw.
Yeah.
Or
An urge is an internal, is what you're
yes,
saying.
yeah, I
Very
believe
good. I
that.
like that.
That's
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and again, everybody's entitled to their own, and
Mhm.
but if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, and if you're newly sober or you've been sober for a long time, let us know.
Mhm.
You can let us know on all the show notes. You have our phone number, you have our email. Let
Yeah.
us know what's a trigger for you. And I can give a recent occurrence
Sure.
I of a client who was sober for several months, and then just out of a clear blue sky, going through a bad relationship, he picks up and he's back. He's back
Good.
sober, and he's doing great. But I would have never, I would have bet money he was never going to pick up, because
Mhm.
he had so much to the group, and we talked about everything. And, but nobody's safe. This is the type of
Mhm.
the disease that, you're never safe unless you're vigilant about either going to meetings, asking for help. You, my opinion is you got to be involved somewhere. There's got to be some place you go to where you're going to either get some of the
Mhm.
hostility or emotional baggage out, talk about it. That's what's great about AA. You go to an AA meeting, you can talk to people there. You drive with people who are, similar
Mhm.
circumstances. You can have a meeting on the way to the meeting, a meeting at the meeting, and a meeting on the way home.
Yes.
You can call your sponsor, you call your friend. That call your sponsor. I can honestly say I've never once in 34 years called my sponsor to say, "Hey, I think I'm going to pick up." I haven't picked up, so maybe that's the reason. But I think we're all very self-minded, where we think we can do this on our own. But
Mhm.
some people can, some people can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think of that?
also, so I have to agree with you on the urges with being more of an internal and triggers being more of an external. A
Right,
100% hands down that is. And an urge, more of I think an urge is more of what we keep in our heads, what we
right,
don't get out, what we don't call our sponsor about. The
right.
reason why we've, and I have the same feeling, and knock on wood, we keep it going. I've never called my sponsor say I want to pick up, because I call my sponsor all the time. I work the program, and I know that if I even feel that way, I call somebody and talk about what's in this head, what's going
Right.
on. So that's where the urge comes on. Now, sometimes I have the urge to be an asshole, and sometimes I am an asshole. But it's very short lived and very, few and far
Yeah,
between. But again, that's another way of not working your program.
right.
You can do it with sex, you can do it with money, you can do it spending, you can do it with gambling,
Right.
whatever. So we got to watch all those urges. Now,
Yep.
a trigger, you're right. A trigger to me, what it does is what it does to me is that I hear something or I see somebody. I mean, I remember early recovery. There was a bunch of triggers. When my grandmother and grandfather used to go out to dinner every Friday night, and I used to have to come home from work, and I lived with them in my early recovery, and
Right.
you have to walk past the bar into the and I would see all those drinks being poured, and I would see all the guys sitting at the bar with the hot chicks, and drinking the alcohol, and I'm like, I would romanticize it. And that's the problem. We romanticize it, and we
Right.
romanticize those things, maybe that might be triggering us. And we don't realize, or I didn't realize, that it's not it's not what's going on. It's not what it looks like, because that would take me to deep dark
Yeah,
places that I
yeah,
don't need to be. So
yeah.
that was some of my triggers. Some other triggers would be um the ex-wife doing, saying shit to me in early recovery, today I don't have too many triggers. And the reason being, Mike, is because I stick close to a program. I work the steps. I work with my sponsor. I do what I have to do to stay sober. Every day I went for a run this morning. I was on the phone with my sponsor. Yesterday I was on the phone with my sponsor when I ran. I find these times to do it, and thank God that he exercises like I do. And him and I are usually on the phone early in the morning talking to each other, and that's how I start my day. And we both know it's important to start our day prayer, meditation, just being kind of mindful of who we are and what we're doing for the day. The other thing I do too, Mike, is I end up planning my day out the night before, so I have some direction that I'm going through in the next day. Because sometimes when you don't plan something out, you end up someplace you don't want to be, and I'm not saying, 7:05, run 7:08, mile 2, not that. I'm just saying plan a day, do this day. So we'll have a direction so I can go go to a meeting at 8 a.m., chair the noontime meeting, call work, call this, follow up with that, and that helps too, having direction, having some stability in my life. That helps too, to stay away from all that.
Sure. I feel fortunate that I work in recovery. I help. That's what I do. I'm a paid therapist, but I do a lot of pro bono. I help people. That's what I do. So I'm around the recovery, every day of the week, just about, actually every day of the week, because I meet people out here on Sundays, people that can't get to me during the week. A couple hours. I don't kill it. If it's, maybe 2 hours on a Sunday. Lately, I've been out here the last few Sundays. I'm in my office now, but, I think a trigger also, you can be having the best day in the world and you get back some tax return, you worked overtime, you get a little extra dough. For me, money was always a trigger for me. When I had a ton of dough in my pocket, the first thing I thought about was getting what I needed to get really fucking high, to get it, to get whatever I needed. And then there was no worries. Everything was good, and good time, Charlie, I'd have the money. I could do what I wanted for a couple of days. But the reality of that was, a half hour into it, sometimes the good feelings weren't there. I was remorseful for spending money needlessly on something that really wasn't helping me much after that. In the beginning, when we first start using, alcohol and drugs, that utopia we get, the happy feeling, the giddiness, the chatty, the atmosphere, you couldn't be happier, Well, that doesn't last, and you can't get it back. It doesn't come back. I don't care if once it's gone, and you can drink and drug all you want, but sometimes you're just doing that to maintain. I know I was just to maintain normalcy, or what I thought was normalcy. But basically what it was I just couldn't go without, but I wasn't running around being happy, happy as a lark. Not at all. It was just the opposite, especially towards the end. Hey, the good news is, Eddie, when you put down the drugs or the drink, and you find a program and you can go and you can get through a day at a time, one day at a time, and those days turn into weeks, which turn into months, which turn into years. And if you're fortunate, turn into decades, good times, bad times. I can maintain sobriety, and that's the beauty.
Absolutely. Papa, we're going to take a break here. When we come back from the break, Memorial Day just passed, and I want to talk to everybody about maybe some of the triggers and urges that some people might have in the summertime, because the summertime is our next step, and that is big triggers for people. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that.
Friends in Recovery podcast. We'll be right back.
You're first to respond, first to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first, that connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Friends in Recovery podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here with Jersey Ed down in
Hey guys.
Jersey.
Down in Jersey. I am down in Jersey. So
Cape May, right?
Cape May, yes. Beautiful Cape May. There's a song you gotta listen to. On My Way to Cape May. Google it, guys, and listen to it. It's a
All
pretty
right,
cool song. There's a song, yeah. It's On My Way to Cape May. I'd sing it for you, but then you know what? There's another whole podcast. People want autographs. I'm not gonna do it. All right.
Yeah.
So, but one thing I am gonna it gets crazy. So, but one thing I am gonna talk to you about and sing their praises is SoberPod. Guys, listen to SoberPod.
Oh, SoberPod. Yep.
This is going to be the death of the Podfather every week. So, Carl, Ellen, Steve, and Chelsea, good to hear you guys. Great show last week. They really do a bang up job. I think they're professionals. Unlike us, Mike, we come on here to the last minute and figure out what we're doing. But
yeah, we're just a couple of slugs. Yeah,
I know. Mm-hmm. I think they have this whole big team that they have, giving them topics and feeding them lines. And I think Carl has his makeup done. Makeup artist.
They got it all.
I know, and I know Ellen has a hairdresser because green M&Ms in the Chelsea with her green M&Ms. And Steve, just, everyone. But we love you guys over there. And we mean this all in good fun. Guys, it's a really, really good podcast. Listen to it. Get over there. Really, they do have a great podcast. So
yes,
on that note, just go listen to them. Soberpod.com and all that SoberPod stuff. So before the break, Podfather, we were talking about triggers and urges and what's the difference is. Now we know Memorial Day just passed, and
Memorial Day.
I mean, Memorial Day, not Labor Day. Memorial Day. Yep. You know how I remember it's Labor Day and not Memorial Day, not Labor Day. May begins with M, and Memorial Day begins with M.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'll tell you why I remember it. I spent 3 years in the Army. My dad was a Second World War veteran. He was in a Third Armored Tank Division, Spearhead. There's a book out called Spearhead by a Mr. Adam Makos, Makos. What a great book. The movie Fury with Brad Pitt came out around the same time this book came out. And there actually was a tank with the name Fury painted on it. It was in the Third Armored. But my dad was a Purple Heart vet. I remember asking him one day, I said, Dad, how come you never got any money from being wounded? And he said, Mickey, all the heroes are still over there. I'm just happy I made it home. Now, after reading this book, Spearhead, and how they describe these battles, this guy, Makos, just real quick, the author, he interviewed 90-year-old men that were actually in the Third Armored Tank Division from the United States of America. Then he interviewed 90-year-old men from Germany that were German tankers. And so it's amazing. This book is just riveting. You can't help but read it. But Memorial Day has a whole different meaning for me. I obviously I work at a cemetery. I open and close the gates to the historical Lowell Cemetery. Google it. You want to see a beautiful spot? It's heaven on earth. And it's full of veterans. There's over 1,300 veterans buried there. There's flags on every one of the graves. But to me, Memorial Day is a solemn day. It's to remember people. Less than 1% of our nation serves their country as in the military. Now think of that, less than 1%. That's not a lot of people. And that less than 1%, they get treated horribly when it comes to medical, when it comes to financial. I mean, they don't get what I think they deserve, especially if they've been wounded mentally, physically, they've lost limbs. I give to the USO, I give to the Warriors. I just can't help myself. I just really care about this, but I think it's important. It's just not a day off to have hamburgers and to sit around in your ass,
Absolutely not. And welcome to the to answering the call of friends, answering the call. I'm just kidding. No, but that's good, Podfather, because Memorial Day did just pass, and everybody probably had their hamburgers and all that stuff and didn't realize it. And you know what? That even brings us up to the question of our freedom, so we can be sober.
Right,
so we can hold a meeting, so we can come on here and talk about triggers, so we can do all that. You know what I mean? And I know, listen, we have to kind of take time and thank you for your service. And I know this is Friends in Recovery. It's not answering the call, but
don't matter. There's a lot of veterans probably listening to Friends in Recovery.
Of course. Too, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I do want to talk about the triggers and the upcoming summer. Now that Memorial Day has passed,
good weather.
The good weather? What's going to be the triggers there? How do we avoid that stuff? I know everybody says, "Oh, I could use a good cold beer in the middle of summer." Fuck, man, a good cold beer in the middle of summer, I'd be passed out now. You know what I mean?
When is your anniversary date? What month did you get sober in?
March 10th, 1994.
Right. Tell me when you got sober on March 10th, 1994, that you weren't thinking about 4th of July.
Oh.
1994. You weren't thinking about Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Podfather, I was thinking about New Year's. I went into my accountant. Right. Yeah, I went to my accountant's office. Yeah, I went to my accountant's office and I asked him. I said, "Okay, this is great. I got this. This is my second time here." I said, "What am I going to do for New Year's?" He says, "Whoa, slow down." He said, "It's only March. Let's get through."
True, right?
Yeah. So I think what Podfather you're saying is take it one day at a time. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold out. It doesn't matter if it's sunny or dark out. We just got to stay in the moment.
Right. Hey, on a beautiful day, the sun's out, you're out mowing the lawn where you used to ride around your lawnmower or walk or whatever, you think of a nice cold beer and, it'd be nice to be able to do that, but we have lost the ability to do that. We can't, we're allergic to that. That's only going to set things in motion that we might not be able to get back under control. It's one thing about relapsing is people might relapse 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 times and they keep coming back and back, but not everybody makes it back. You know what I mean? Some people relapse and then they end up dying, or they end up overdosing, or they end up getting a car accident, or they end up getting thrown out of a relationship because it was the last straw. Nobody wants to put up with their bullshit anymore,
Yeah.
So
and that's because we had that one thought.
That's right. And this is I think it was a great idea when you said this morning, talk about, after Memorial Day, it kicks off the summer, cookouts, barbecues, hot days, ball games, all
triggers.
Triggers for heavy drinkers or druggers. But mostly for drinkers, I think. I really do. And me myself personally, I don't. I'm lucky. So far I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I've been very fortunate, and I think you're in the same boat. But on the other side of it too, we work pretty hard at staying sober. You still go to meetings.
Yes, I do.
You chair meetings. I go to meetings. I chair meetings. You ask for help. I ask for help. If you want to stay sober, these are the small things you got to do.
It's small things. Like I said, there's small wins, guys. We check off small wins. Call my sponsor, check. Going to a meeting, check. Doing the podcast with the Podfather, check. Right. That keeps me away from the big demon, all these small things, and it doesn't seem like much, but I don't need to work, I don't need to cram into a book because Memorial Day is coming. I don't have to cram in a book because summer's coming. If I maintain my sobriety throughout the year and I do what I'm supposed to do, all this stuff just comes and goes. It's just another day. And you know what? Like you said earlier, Podfather, it's just enjoy the day. Enjoy what's going on out there. Enjoy the moment, and I one thing about drugs and alcohol, maybe a hot summer day, you don't think of a line of cocaine or heroin, but here's the thing. If you pick up a beer on a hot summer day at a barbecue. Next thing you know, you're in the car drinking and driving, going to find a dope man. Then you're in a fucking shooting gallery, and then you overdose, you're in the hospital, and so on and so forth. So that's where that can go also. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
avoid all that at all costs. Keep sober. And here's the other thing. If you're going to a barbecue and you don't feel comfortable, bring somebody with you, right? I was always told, bring somebody with you. Have an out. Make sure you bring your own car.
Right.
Make sure that, and this is for people any recovery.
Right.
Have a plan. And now I know Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, but Podfather, I tell everybody, and this is me. I don't tell anybody that you're in recovery or you or you or you. I tell everybody I am in recovery and I don't drink. End of story. So
Right.
I get it out there immediately, and nobody even bothers with it. You know, they don't even give a fuck. Seriously. I mean, what the fuck do they care? I'm in recovery,
Exactly.
you know? But it keeps
More
me
for them.
comfortable.
More drinks for them, you know.
Exactly. Knock yourself out, you know. So, but that's some of the shit that happens in our own heads. And I respect everybody's anonymity, no doubt about it. But you know, the summer's coming, and we just got to protect ourselves, guys. And you know, whatever that may be. Like you wear sunblock when you go out in the sun. If you go into a situation, go in with a plan. You know, go with
you gotta have a plan. You know,
Yeah.
I really enjoy the groups I work with on Monday, Tuesday night, Thursday night up in Crossroads in Salem, New Hampshire. And I just want to mention, you know, we have like a remarkable process up there. Barry put together this program that's just. I'll give you an example. Saturday morning, every Saturday there's a meeting now for the last several months. And this Saturday there was 8 clients and myself. And out of the 8 clients, 6 of them had 1 year or more sobriety.
Mm.
Now, is it a coincidence that the ones that have 6 years or more sobriety are there on a Saturday morning on a beautiful sunny day?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is what I'm saying is that if you want it, it's there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you took, and make no mistake, addiction is a death sentence to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really is. It's an incurable disease. But you can go into remission. If you told a cancer patient, okay, all you got to do is go to a meeting, maybe 3 times a week for an hour, maybe read some literature. Hey, maybe pray, ask God for some help, or your higher power, how you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be chopping at the bit. They wouldn't be able to do that quick enough, you know. But you ask an addict, you know how it is. Hey, I'm busy. I'm tired. I gotta go shopping. You know, some programs on. I want to watch. Yeah, there's always an excuse. But I really believe people that want this, and I've been around it long enough to know, if you want it bad enough, it's here. And believe me, you know, if you've considered yourself an alcoholic 5 years ago, and now 5 years later, you figure, no, I can go out and drink. I mean, where's your head at? Where is your head at? I mean, you know, once you're there, you're there. You can't undo your diagnosis, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know what, Podfather, in closing here, we got another minute, but I think, you know, if you're struggling or whatever, you know, we're here. Be careful what you do this summer. Get a hold of a sponsor, get a tight network, and ask for advice. Podfather and I, we still talk to each other about advice. Should we do this? What do you think about that? You know, I run things by the Podfather all the time, and he runs things by me. We help each other, and we're deep into our recovery, but we want to protect it. So what I'm saying to you guys, don't put yourself in situations, you know, and the nice thing about being in longevity and recovery is we know not to do that now. You know, I'm going to forgo there was a party up the street that my wife went to. I didn't go for a couple of reasons. It was a little bit later. I was tired, but you know what? They're great people, and they don't have any drug or alcohol problems, but there's a lot of drinking. When they get together, it's okay. That's their gig. It's cool. Not that I was going to pick up, but there's just nothing in common for me there. You know what I mean? I'd stop in and say hello before the party starts, and they know that, and they respect that. And that's why I always say that, you know, I'm in recovery, and people respect it, you know? So
I enjoy being around. I enjoy being around a bunch of people having a good time, you know, and if they're drinking, that's fine. If they're not, that's fine. I don't have a hard time just drinking what I drink, you know, soda water, Sprite, you know, juice, whatever. but I like being in that atmosphere. I like being around a bunch of happy people having a good time, and so it doesn't really bother me. I feel very fortunate and blessed. But
Good.
you know what? Just real quick, we have over 3 years of Friends in Recovery. I mean, you know what? Watch some of the episodes. Go on, Google Friends in Recovery. Just go on iHeart, iTunes, and you know what? You'll get to see 3 years of nothing but Friends in Recovery. We've had so many guests on here that talk about recovery. We've had famous people, we've had authors, we've had comedians, just me and Ed sometimes. But you know what? There's some real good sobriety in these podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another way to work a program. Listen to these podcasts. And the other thing too, before we close, Mike, I just want to talk about our 12-step programs, because this will help out through the summer too. Genesis House does two meetings a day, noontime and 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. You can always get a meeting with us.
Can't beat it, man.
Yeah, go to genesishouse.net and go under connections, and we're under there. Every meeting is there.
Right.
You just click on it and it brings it right to the meetings.
Right.
And of course, just adjust it to your time zone. So that's 7 and noontime Eastern. And then the other thing too is we have an adventures program that we do, Friends in Recovery Adventures. Go on, that's on the website too. Go to Friends in Recovery Adventures and go get involved with adventures. We're going on a kayak trip soon. We plan adventures all over the country, sober adventures. This is how all this stuff works. If you want to do something fun this summer, and in this, something outside, go on the adventures planning meeting at the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern is our planning meeting. Make a plan for you guys in the summer. This summer we can plan on an adventure, and I'll show up. I don't care where it is in the country. You plan something, I'll come, as long as my schedule's open. It doesn't interfere with my family. I would be more than happy to show up at those adventures. So so that's some other ways to stay sober and knock those triggers away. So
yep. Well, listen,
Father.
Have a great summer. Memorial Day's over. The next one coming up will be 4th of July, I guess. And
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Stay sober, everybody.
Stay sober.
Friends in Recovery Podcast.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House, FirstNet, built with AT&T, for supporting those on the path to recovery and keeping this valuable resource free for all our friends in recovery. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery. If you can't get enough of Mike, the Podfather, Jersey Ed, and Skylar, you can catch them on Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast, available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and GenesisHouse.net.